I'm Sherry Harmel, life and career coach, as well as editor of Be the Real You magazine. Well, it's Memorial Day here in the United States, and not only is it a time to remember all those men and women who gave up their lives for our country, but it's also a time to remember our own loved ones that have passed. And I'm going to add, maybe it's a day we think about getting busy on creating our own memories and legacies. There are all sorts of people who come into our lives for short periods of time, and yet we never forget them because they made a difference. So first, let's all acknowledge all those people that impacted your life. It's actually fun to go back to your earliest memories. I think of Sister Lenore in my Catholic grade school, who very gently made me feel special and smart. The head of my paper route shack, who always greeted me with a cheer and said, "Our paper girl has arrived." Mrs. Carlson, who ran the Girl Scout troop that I was a part of for all of my elementary school years. And Mrs. McFadden, who was my junior high basketball coach. These were women who donated their time and were incredibly competent. Then there was Jerry Dennison, who gave me my first job at her grocery store when I was only 14 years old, and of course, put me in charge of ordering all the candy. And Frenchie Rogers, my high school's badminton coach, who for all 3 years of my high school ran around, followed me around, and asked me to play for her. Every single one of these women is still remembered by me because they made a difference in my life. Was I loved by my parents? No. Was I encouraged by my parents to be all I could be? No. But when I took myself through this exercise, I realized that I've always had an assortment of really wonderful women all around me from the time I was a child. These are women who encouraged me, supported me, and believed in me, and every one of them positively impacted my self-esteem and my self-concept. Did any of them know the impact that they had on me, or that I'm sitting here as a woman of a certain age remembering them? Most likely not, which makes me think of that very lovely quote attributed to Justin Cronin. And the quote goes like this: "As long as we remember a person, they're not really gone." I love that quote. So let's all remember those special people who came into our lives and will come into our lives, and those that made a difference and will make a difference, even if just for a short period of time. Well, the podcast today is really actually motivating me, and I hope you too, to make a list of them in your journal, because it'll be fun to see how long that list, and really be grateful for all those people. Now, let's flip it around. I want you to think about the people who you might have had been a positive influence on their lives. Now, this is much harder to do because most of us don't think we make a significant difference in anyone's lives other than those we see all the time or people we are really close to. Some of us naturally go to our families, even our children. But ladies, family is often the most likely to take you and all your gifts for granted. So set aside your families. Think of the people that you have interacted with over the years, those people who come in and out of your daily life in little spurts, starts, and quickly leave. I bet that every single one of you has a slew of people that you have positively impacted. You just don't know it. For example, when I returned to Minneapolis in 2019, as I have shared, I got my closest sorority sisters together under the guise of a book club. But really, it was a lovely reconnection between a great group of women. It was ultra special because we had all known each other since our college days. So we had lots of stories to tell, and we giggled honestly like we were college students again. Before long, though, several of those women shared in front of the entire group the positive influence an impact that I had had on them and how I was admired by them. Well, frankly, I was dumbfounded. I wasn't in their weddings. I wasn't part of their inner circle. I was older than all of them, and I had an entirely different education and career path. Yet, as they told me, I thought it was so cute. You did make a difference. And they said, you're such a doer, because it took me, the transplant, back to Minneapolis to get all of us together on a regular basis, even though they have all lived in the same town. So do you see how knowing that and having them share that with me actually made me feel all confident and really cared about? Yet during the years that we didn't connect, I had no idea I was even remembered by these women, to say nothing of having made a positive impact on their lives. Now, as women, we often judge our own true impact on others by how our children turn out, whether or not our children appreciate us, our work successes maybe, overall life accomplishments. But honestly, and this is going to sound a little harsh, but I hear it from so many women today, adult children as a whole today are not appreciative of their mothers. So many mothers have shared with me that their adult kids really aren't that interested in them, other than when they need something from them. Now, I can relate, and maybe you can too. But what I've learned from this is that all our small impacts on the people who come in and out of our lives might cumulatively be far greater than any impact we make on one of our children or even our families. There are the people you spend time with and you have spent time with at the different stages of your life. The mothers you did scouting with when your children were young, the younger colleagues that you mentored as you moved up the ladder, the young student you tutored in your master's program, the grocery store checkout clerk that you always chat with, or the mailman you suddenly got to know while you were home during COVID. All were short spurts of impact, but you most likely made a difference in their lives. Now, I just moved to a new building in Boston after 3 years, being away for 3 years, and I've now crossed paths with several doormen and service workers in various buildings around town who mentioned that they remember me from the building I used to live in. Now, I remembered them, but I didn't expect them to remember me. So we never know how we impact others. This has certainly given me pause to think, how do I want to be remembered? Legacies are not just about money you give away after you pass. Legacies are also about making a difference while you're still here. And it doesn't have to be something big. It can be just the wave you always give to the UPS delivery person. So Memorial Day is about remembering, and hopefully I've inspired you to think about not just those who you remember, but also how you want to be remembered. I encourage you to ask yourself, what is the legacy that I want to create? Well, that's what Be the Real You is really all about. When we are our real and true selves, we naturally take the time to smile at someone regardless of their position. And we want to show up as our best self all the time, because doing so creates reciprocal happiness, right? I found that after my divorce, I had to figure out who the real me was again. I think widows have the same question, or empty nesters. When a role we had is suddenly gone, it leaves us with ourselves, our real and true selves. When you are no longer daughters or wives or everyday mothers, many of you might struggle with what's left. If I'm not a wife, a mother, or a daughter, well then who am I? And ladies, that's when the fun begins. I work with a number of women who are suddenly living solo. Actually, living solo is a growing trend, and as I discovered myself, living solo can be really challenging at first until you figure out who you really are. And the only way to do that is to peel away all your roles and get to the core of you. Now, sometimes all that taking care of others is a way to avoid ourselves. I remember being busy helping others can be a way to avoid thinking about ourselves or even exploring who we are. We sometimes even do good things because we need the affirmations of others to acknowledge our goodness. Well, a couple of podcasts ago, I was talking about money and buying things, and I asked that great question, would I want this, whatever it is, if no one saw it? Well, that relates to making a difference or creating your legacy too. Would you do that? What positively impacts someone's life, but is not something that you need to share with others? What is it that you would do? If you didn't share it with others, would you still get that positive feeling back? Your real legacy just might be something you do that no one else sees or even knows about. That is the real you who is giving that smile, that wave, that amount of time. And you can't genuinely give until you know who you really are and what is truly important to you. Now that's why I created this podcast and even my magazine, Be the Real You. I want to support women to step into their real and true selves. It took me a long time to figure out my real self, and honestly, I'm still learning. But I don't want you to wait one more day. I want to give you all the support that you need to live, to work, and to create as the real you. Not the roles you have at various stages of your life, not because of any societal trends that tells you what's in and what's out, but you, the unique and special, one-of-a-kind you. Well, my very first champagne soiree is on June 29th. It's actually, I think, a Tuesday, and it's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you didn't already hear, when I'm in Paris, I regularly attend soirees put on by Nancy Perdot, who owns Salon Septième in Paris. Salon Septième is a fabulous women's clothing atelier. I got this crazy idea because I love Nancy's soirees, and I thought, why not create my own? Just put them online. So I'm planning one soiree a month, and each soiree I'm going to try to invite a guest on for a very short presentation on a specific topic and give you all the opportunity to ask questions and also to connect with each other. So I have to limit the numbers so that connecting is possible. And so make sure that you go to sherryharmel.com and you sign up for those soirees, at least certainly the June one. They're free, there's no cost, and I just ask that you invite another woman to join us. I need you to spread the word. Now the first one, or not the first one, but just a few that we have lined up thus far of special guests. We have one who's going to be talking about our money, another that's going to be talking about our health, and maybe another in the kitchen making a fun summer healthy drink. Those are just a few of the ideas that we're now starting to put people in place to be on those soiree calls with all of us. So spread the word, ladies, and sign up. Make sure you sign up. My goal, though, in offering the champagne soirees, the magazine, Be the Real You, as well as my coaching programs and even my social media posts, is that we continue to build Be the Real You community. It truly is a women's authenticity movement. And today, knowing and showing up as the real you is so important. This movement might actually shift the world, and in a good way. So on this Memorial Day, it's a day for all of us to remember those who touched our lives in big and small ways. but it's also a day to think about and even write in your journal what is really and truly important to you, those non-negotiables of your life. Sign up for the magazine, join the Facebook group, sign up for the champagne soirees, and truly get the support you need to make being the real you your personal manifesto. Thank you for your time today. Take care, everyone, and I hope to see you very soon. A biento.